All right, welcome back once again. This is episode 2 of Word Vomit with
Xplizt
and Freeze Martian.
What up?
I hope everybody out there had a good Easter. I hope you all got the Cadbury eggs that you desired. I hope your kids got their Easter baskets that we talked about as marketing ploys last week.
That's right.
To make companies money.
And I hope you blew up all of your fucking peeps in the microwave because that's the only thing that they're good for.
Or setting them on fire with just like random blowtorches.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a couple things happened since our last show that we want to talk about. So we're just gonna get right into it. This is gonna be more of a Connecticut themed night of discussion.
Homage
To Lorraine Warren, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Connecticut, if you're unfamiliar, Connecticut paranormal expert, medium,
Clairvoyant,
Lorraine Warren, of course.
Sweet saints.
She passed away at the age of 92.
Of a heart attack.
Yes, which she lived a pretty long life.
Now,
And her husband had died prior a couple of years back. I would say about 10 years, 12 years.
I wanna get your opinion on something. You know how they have the museum in their home?
Correct, in Monroe, Connecticut.
What
Monroe.
fuck are they gonna do
With all that stuff?
all of those conduits?
I'm assuming between Tony Sparrow, which I believe is Lorraine Warren's nephew,
Mr. Zaffis as well.
and then you have John Zaffis, which is, I believe, Ed Warren's nephew. So I'm pretty sure between those two, they'll probably inherit the majority of the museum.
Well, I hope that they take the best care of it.
As you all know, the haunted Annabelle, the infamous haunted Annabelle doll that Hollywood has now made famous, the story derives from the doll that resides in the home of Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Which actually is a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah, and that's in Monroe, Connecticut. We're from Waterbury. That's about I'd say 28-minute drive. It's kind of by.
Shouldn't you just say 30?
I mean, it's like I'm going by what I know my
Jeepus?
GPS would say.
Okay.
Yeah, my Jeepus.
Your Jeepus?
Because I've gone out there many times. Because there's also Dracula Drive, famous Dracula Drive, which is where the melon heads, where the melon heads reside.
The fog on the road.
I guess I'll throw that in there real quick for all you.
Connecticut folklore, enjoy.
Yeah. Melon heads were supposedly like bulbous-headed creatures that live in the woods of like Milford and Monroe, Connecticut, in parts of Trumbull and Shelton, like basically the wooded areas of Connecticut, which there's a lot more. Connecticut has one of the biggest, highest population of wooded areas per square foot in the whole country. Even though we're a small state, we have the most forest land because most of our homes in our cities are just carved out into the woods. That's basically that's what would happen. Like settlements just cleared space.
They're like, this is good.
Like pilgrims came and
We
Dutch.
stay here.
Yeah, they're like, this makes good land for our family.
Somebody come here. You kill them.
You kill him. But yeah, when they decided in very high Indian land, Native American. So yeah, melonheads lived in like the woods supposedly, and they were like incestuous, bulbous-headed creatures that would attack animals and scare people driving by in their cars and do all these weird things.
Have you personally ever saw a melon head freeze?
I have not. I've driven on the road and
Creepy?
I walking it would probably be really fucking insane.
Does it look like somebody from Wrong Turn?
All right, so I'm gonna tell you a quick story because that kind of happened. All right, so my wife and I we're driving. We went there one time during the day, and not so bad. And it's like a dirt road, Dracula Drive. So like we start, it's called Velvet Street. It's in Monroe, and but they call it Dracula Drive. So but then the second time I was getting high, and I went out there, and it was nighttime. High on marijuana. Okay. When I say high, I don't mean.
Be specific.
All right, yeah, I don't mean like
these people.
I'm not talking about cracker.
There's 97 genders now.
Yeah. I was smoking some pot, some weed, some gas, some fire, some flame, some fuego, some green,
some weed.
Some tweeds. I was smoking, and not a big deal. So I come around the corner where the road first opens up to pull onto, and there's one house that starts at the end of the street where I'm pulling in, but there was a truck all of a sudden parked.
What kind of truck?
A beat up like old Chevy.
Chevy.
Like brown.
Like pickup?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like beat the fuck up. Like looked like 82 maybe.
Okay.
Like it was fucking old.
Was it rust?
Yes. And
Was somebody in the car?
yes, as we pull around, I'm going slow because it's dirt road. The guy ducked down and he didn't want me to see his face or nothing.
Damn.
So that was weird. Like
Okay.
he could have been a melonhead. I don't know, but he just didn't. He did not want me. And
Do you think they know how to drive?
probably
Okay.
he didn't. They didn't. He did not want us to see him for whatever reason. And there was nobody else in the vehicle. It was just him. So that was a little weird.
What did you do?
I just kept driving, like, and it was a little weird out.
You were just like, fuck this?
I kind of drove faster than I should have,
Okay.
and got the fuck
So you
to the end of the road.
You could have hit a fucking melonhead.
This was at the very beginning of the road. Yeah, I could have struck one down. There were cones.
Two cones.
I could have struck one down.
Those could have been melonheads in the middle of the road.
Come on, there were cones. But yeah, so that was my experience on Dracula Drive. So let's go. All right, but going back to Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
Ed Warren.
Renowned.
Demonologist. Ed Warren is the only man that was not a priest,
Ordained.
archdiocese, or whatever you call it.
You can't see me, but I'm doing finger quotes.
He wasn't a priest in the Catholic Church, but he was the only one that was sanctioned demonologist.
To do exorcisms.
That was not. That he was sanctioned by the church, but he was not a priest. He's like, and that's kind of unheard of in this world. But he was
Ed Warren knew his shit.
right. Ed Warren
knew his shit.
was a demonologist. Now, obviously, most people know the Warrens from the famous Amityville case, but we're not here to talk about Amityville.
No.
We're going to talk about some other things
Right.
that they had to do with.
All right, dive into it.
So Ed Warren started off. I don't know if you want to call it a scheme. We're going to give you the facts, though. I'm not going to sit here.
Let's talk shit that we do know.
Here's what I know for a fact. Ed Warren and Lorraine would start off by like just appearing in people's houses outside, and they would start like painting, and Ed would start painting pictures of people's houses. And then Lorraine would go to the door and she'd be like, oh, my husband, made you a picture of your house, just seeing if they could sell it or whatever, because that's how Ed decided he wanted to make some money at the time, was doing his painting, but he wasn't making that much money. Somewhere along the line, while doing this, they started investigating people's houses for paranormal experience. I don't know if Lorraine just started picking up on things when they would visit these people's houses, when she would knock on the door, or if they were using a real scheme.
Nah, they were real.
I'm assuming they were, but you know what I mean? We gotta play, we gotta really give it the facts. Like, some would say that they were using it as a scheme, but Ed Warren himself would tell you that he would feel things about houses, he would start painting them, and then he would want to get a reason to get inside.
Which is why they showed him in the movies painting like the nuns, shit that he,
Right.
you know what I mean? That's
Right.
They probably, a lot of people probably didn't know that.
So that's kind of how it started, though. They started out broke, and then they started investigating paranormal hauntings, and a lot of them. All right, so the most famous case to me, and the most instrumental in their career, would be the White Lady, which I believe is Easton Cemetery, and that's in Monroe also, and that's where they lived. And I understand why Ed probably was fascinated with that, because he grew up down the street from that place or whatever. I mean, I think Ed was from Bridgeport, but then he moved to Monroe or whatever. So they
Wait, Ed Warren was from the hood?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he
White boy Ed.
Ed Warren had heard stories his whole life about the White Lady, and many people had come forward, even a couple firemen. And I guess what happened was people see the White Lady appear in front of their cars as they're driving. A lot of people have hit her, and but when they check their cars, there's no damage to their vehicles, and she's disappeared, and there's no body. Another case, a truck driver of some kind, all of a sudden, he felt like he had gone into like some kind of other dimension when he was driving or something, and all of a sudden there was a farmer in the car with him, so he claims, and then he saw the White Lady with her arm stretched out, and he hit her, and same thing, there was no body. I've had a similar experience in my life, which I'm not going to get into right now, but I've had a similar experience where it feels like something changed in your atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure. Like you're in a time warp.
Yeah, like you've gone into something that you shouldn't be in. And like you're existing in a plane that maybe and you see things that you shouldn't see. And I'll give you some of my own paranormal experiences after this, but right now I'm gonna talk about Lorraine Warren. So Ed started investigating, and I guess he scoped out for like 3 nights in a row, and finally she appeared, and he has her on camera, and they had pictures, and they show you when you go to their. Yeah. For years they would offer like haunted walks and dinners, and you can go pay some money and you can sit with Lorraine Warren. And
this was back before Photoshop too, so you really couldn't manipulate a film in that sense.
They never really went public with the pictures with the video like that.
Which is why I believe it, because if they were trying to make something off of it, why the fuck wouldn't they just?
But they did show you pictures if you went there for the dinner, and you would get to see, and they would take you into the museum and all this stuff. And there was even there's a story this really happened, I guess, coincidentally or however you want to take it. With the Annabelle doll, they were doing a tour, and some guy started mocking him and his girlfriend started mocking the Annabelle doll, and Ed Warren had basically like gotten fed up with the guy, and he kicked him out of there, and he basically warned the guy, he's like, these things have power, you shouldn't mock them, and you don't play around with things.
Absolutely.
Basically, don't play around with evil.
You shouldn't fuck around with the paranormal.
The guy mocked it. Well, he got on his motorcycle that night, and he sped off, and him and his girlfriend died in a motorcycle accident. Call that a coincidence? I don't know what you want to call it, but it happened.
But the Ed warned him.
Ed warned him.
He warned him. Ah, you're punny.
You feel the pun there. The big pun.
The big pun.
So that is fact. So then later on they investigated Amityville.
Which everybody's still back and forth on whether, Butch DeFeo just killed him.
From what I understand, Lorraine Warren and Ed kind of just showed up, and there was a lot of people investigating that thing. They kind of just showed up, put their imprint on it. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of people. There was a lot of ghost hunters that were investigating that.
Lorraine Warren said it was the place closest to hell she's ever felt.
There was a picture of a boy that they caught in the hallway that nobody can explain where.
Google that shit. It has no eyes. No eyes.
Nobody really knows where that little boy came from, because that was taken when they had a guy who was like a news broadcaster, I believe, at the time, and they had a woman who worked for the paper in Amityville, and they had a couple paranormal investigators, and that picture was taken.
Yeah, they're just snapping.
Somebody just started snapping pictures, and this picture of this ghost boy appeared. And I don't know, judge for yourselves. I'm not here to tell you what to believe and what not to believe.
Google little boy Amityville picture. Do it.
So after that, of course, their second most famous case of all time, the Enfield haunting, which again, they kind of just showed up. That was more this guy Maurice. I forgot his last name. His name was Maurice, though, and he was the one that really was the lead investigator paranormally into that investigation.
I thought he called them.
I don't know if he did. They might have just shown up again on their own.
Wasn't it when the voice changed, when that little girl's voice started changing?
Yeah, but that's not real. That's not real. I mean, we can't go by the movie, but I'm saying in the actual Enfield haunting book and the, from what I understand, they kind of just showed up. They were there for like maybe a day. It was a little more exaggerated for the book, I'm gonna be honest with everybody. And then they did, which I consider probably the most notorious one, the most factual, and the most probably the scariest investigation that I've ever read about, and that was the Snedeker family, which it was called in the movie The Haunting in Connecticut, which was about a family in Southington, Connecticut. The house is still there. I'm sure those people are really pissed off that people drive by their house all the time. But the house is still there. It's in Southington, and basically this a boy that lived there. I'm not gonna give his name. It's not my fucking place to give his identity. He had cancer, and his family had moved there from upstate New York because they wanted to be closer to the hospital that was giving him treatment, which was in Connecticut. Right. They rented a house in Southington. It was right in their budget, and I guess it used to be an old funeral home. Yes. And when they moved in, they found like scalpels and like utensils for like embalming bodies and stuff down in the basement, which is where they had the two boys.
I was gonna say, did they really have them? Because I know the movie lets on that they moved them into the basement.
Well, the stuff was there, and the mother did get rid of it, but it was already kind of setting a bad undertone. So the boys started seeing things, and I guess they started seeing demons. And then John Zaffis himself, who helped investigate it with Lorraine, claims that there was a moment where they were all investigating, and things had gotten so bad in the house. I mean, if you want to know the facts and everything that goes on with the actual case, you can go read about it, or you can watch the movie. But at one point, the son had to be removed because he had tried to attack his cousin, or I don't know, sexually. I don't know what he tried to do. But
he was influenced by something.
Something had compelled him to attack his cousin. I don't know in what form. I'm not going to speculate, but
right.
So when Ed and Lorraine and John Zaffis came to investigate, they all would sleep in the living room together. And there was a moment where John Zaffis was awake and he was doing something, and everybody else was asleep in the house. And John Zaffis, again, is a very world-renowned paranormal investigator. He doesn't really have a reason to lie. This wasn't even really his case like that. But he backed up claims by saying that he had seen at the top of the stairs a man in a suit that had dark eyes and looked demonic. And he knew at that point that they were dealing with a demon. And
get your holy water.
That was basically the situation that occurred with that. I could keep going. The Conjuring. That was a family in Rhode Island. They investigated many, many cases. They even investigated a case with a man who thought he was a werewolf. Guy thought he was a werewolf. You know what I mean? Like they investigated that. So, she had, whether you support her claims or whether you believe in the paranormal or not, Lorraine Warren is a staple in Connecticut, Connecticut history and legend.
Don't you disrespect Mrs. Warren.
Us being Connecticut natives, we appreciate Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they will be missed.
Absolutely, but they are together now,
right.
Wherever they are. Do you think everything that they exercised was like waiting for them? Looking at Lorraine, like, hey, bitch, remember me? Remember me?
Like the demon they were talking about in the movie. Yeah.
You think she was confronted by any of that shit?
It depends. I mean, I don't want to get into a discussion what I believe happens to you when you enter the afterlife.
I'm talking about Lorraine right now.
I'm thinking she's probably okay because
she's chilling.
She was a righteous crusader, and I think if there's a God, he would appreciate Lorraine Warren and let her into heaven right away.
I appreciate Lorraine Warren, man.
Yeah. So we'd love to hear about your hauntings, your ghost stories.
Yeah, that would be dope.
If you guys want to drop some comments and possibly come on the show in the future and share a ghost story, hit us up at freezealegend@gmail.com.
freezealegend at
FREEZE letter A legend LEGEND @gmail.com.
Do you have any ghost stories you want to share?
Sure.
Let's talk about it.
Everything that's ever happened to me in my life paranormal is something that would be impossible for anybody else to ever believe unless you were there with me. And a lot of the things that have happened to me in my life, fortunately, I've had somebody there to back up my claims that have seen it too.
So you don't sound like a crazy ass about
No, so the story I'm going to tell you is a long story. But I'm going to try to do it as briefly as possible as I can.
Chop it up.
Hold on a second, my fucking blunt went out. All right, so in 2013, I started taking these back road trips, like where I would just start driving and I would blunt ride with my wife. And I don't think we weren't married at the time when we started. So I would take these back roads trips. And I would smoke and I would do all this shit. But I smoke weed every day of my life. I'm gonna be very honest with all of you.
I mean, really, who does it?
So, I mean, I don't see ghosts like any other time. And I don't see anything abnormal any other time. So you can't say it's marijuana. You can't say it's the influence of something that I'm taking a substance. Because it's not. It's just something that's happening.
Right.
Want some of this?
Yeah, I have a little bit. I have puff too.
Puff,
I have a little puff, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Smell in the bag, baby.
Smoking the gun, baby.
Know what I'm saying? It's like, we smoke that. We share and smile. Yeah. I smoke blunts all day. Yeah. All right, anyway.
All right, go. Holy shit.
So, on this particular occasion, I started driving out, and it's called Litchfield County, which is the county that I was in, and it's in northwest Connecticut. And I could get to, from where I live, if I started taking a specific route, which is the 202, I could get to New York in like 40 minutes, upstate New York, through Sharon, Connecticut. So Sharon, Connecticut would be on the border. So, all right, so I decided I wanted to ride out, and also Dudleytown's out that way, Cornwall Bridge. So I decided to, on a day trip on a Sunday, I'm like, let's just ride out and go,
Smoke L's.
Smoke some weed and let's drive out to Dudleytown. So we start driving out. I go through this town of Litchfield, and I start going to some other backwoods towns. All these towns kind of like, still kind of dwell in antiquity. If that's the right way of putting it, antiquity. They don't have like commercial businesses around anywhere. Like they have like grocery stores and shit, but it's like
mom and pop.
It's all kind of mom and pop stuff. Like they try to be as nostalgic and as historical as they can to keep the charm of the old town.
Right.
Connecticut is very big on like colonials.
Right.
And all our houses, a lot of them are colonial style houses. So you have like these places in like Northwest Connecticut where people like buy these houses and they want to live out in the woods. And they live in these small little towns. It's cool, you know, whatever you're thinking. I don't know how the fuck they shop for their clothes, but whatever. So anyway, so we're driving out there and I come by this place called Warren, Connecticut. And I'm just driving through town, going through the route. And I see like some bikers eating ice cream. Thought that was kind of funny.
As bikers do.
That was the most horrifying thing of the day, was watching bikers eat fucking ice cream. So
they put walnut cones and shit.
So all of a sudden, all right, so it's October. And this is all a true story. I have no reason to make this up, and I couldn't make it up if I wanted to. This all really happened. So, believe me, I'm not that good of a storyteller. So, I come to an intersection right past where the ice cream place is with all the bikers. And I see this sign. It's like a wooden sign, like almost like it was carved, and it says Halloween Festival. Almost like it was carved, and I believe it was. And my wife saw it, and she's like, wow, that looks interesting. And she's like, why don't we go down that way and see what's going on? It's the middle of the day. It's like a Sunday, so I'm like, shit, what else do we have to do? Let's go see this Halloween Festival.
Right.
So I start driving down the road, right? I'm driving maybe about a mile. And all of a sudden, everything kind of slowed down. Like, the momentum that I was going at, my car is still moving at the same speed, but everything just started to slow down. And the only way I can relate it is like, if you've ever taken like a psychedelic drug or
some lean,
done a whip it or something, like everything kind of just slows for a minute. Or like, have you ever been in like a fight and like
slow motion,
2 seconds go by, but you're able to read everything at such a fast pace that 2 seconds feels like almost like it was like a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of what was going on in this situation. All of a sudden, everything kind of just slowed down, and I noticed this group of people coming up the hill. And I'm not thinking anything of it at first, so I slow down the car physically. You know what I mean? And I see all these people, but I can't to this day tell you what any of these people looked like except one little girl. And as I'm coming up around these people, I'm slowing down and I'm like, you know, maneuvering into the left lane to go around them because they're coming on the right, and they're all walking up the hill, and they're all wearing like different colors and shirts and stuff like that. But this one particular girl just looked really out of place. And
out of place as in what?
She just looked different. Like she had a gray tone to her, and she had no pigment to her skin.
She looked dead?
Not necessarily dead, but
ghastly?
Yeah, like almost ghostly. And when she was wearing a dress, almost like Wednesday Addams, with like the pigtails, but then she was wearing like a black dress, and she had a candy apple in her hand. And I remember the candy apple almost had a gray tone to it too. It almost didn't look right. You know what I mean?
It was like an old picture almost.
Yeah, it was almost like looking like at an old picture. And my wife saw her too. As we come along around her, as we pass her, she kind of just looks at us with this creepy smile.
Oh man.
And then she licks her candy apple and she just continues on, and she was like almost like she was glitching when she walked. Almost like when if you're watching Star Wars and like one of the holograms pops up. It was almost like that, the way she maneuvered. Like, it was weird. And I can't tell you what everybody else even looked like, but I know there's people and they looked more normal. But it was like commotion. But she's the only thing that stood out. So here I am. I'm still not processing all of this fully. So I get past all the people and I don't say anything to my wife at first. But I remember her saying something like, "What's with this creepy little girl?"
Yeah.
That's all I really remember either of us saying about it in that moment.
She acknowledged what you were saying to confirm it at that time.
So
like, yo,
I'm thinking at this point, I'm not realizing there's anything wrong with the girl. I mean, I'm not processing it yet. Like, in my mind, the girl's real. Mm-hmm. And I'm just high or something, and I'm just not remembering.
Like seeing it right.
Yeah.
I got you.
So, we get down the road a little bit, and I'm like, where the fuck is this place? because I'm not seeing any festival. I'm not seeing anything. And like at this point, I've hit a bend in the road. It doesn't make sense. And I can see there's a big open field. So I'm like, I'm gonna roll up again. So I pull it onto the side. And I pull like in front of this big ass open field. And I'm rolling up some weed. And my wife's sitting there and she's like playing on her cell phone. And all of a sudden I hear a bus pull up. And I can see it in my rearview mirror. I see the bus. And she's looking in the rear view and she sees the bus. Neither of us turned around to actually physically look at the bus. Right. I'm seeing it in my rear view as I'm rolling up. I'm like, shit.
This was in front of the field?
Right, in front of the field. So all of a sudden there's a big school bus, big, regular yellow school bus pulls up. And all of a sudden I hear a voice go, okay guys, the festival's that way, exit to the left. Distinctly. My wife heard this too, because we later talk about it, but I'll get to that. Excuse me a second, my allergies are kicking in. So then I'm like, all right, oh shit, I'm like, the festival's gotta be that way through the field. Let's just follow the people. I hear the people. I see, again, bodies moving through my rear view as I'm rolling up. I finish up really quick and I put the joint away because I'm not gonna smoke it right now because now I'm gonna go to the festival. So I get out the car. As soon as I shut the door, everything's quiet. We're both out the vehicle. We're standing in front of a big empty field.
That's fucking crazy. People.
There's no people. So I'm like,
bus.
So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, where'd they all go? So I start walking into the field. There's nothing. There's nothing there.
It's fucking bugged out.
I'm like looking to the tree line. I'm like, there's nothing. There's no other path that I'm missing. It's a big ass open field cut out in the trees.
But the bus was gone.
Bus is gone.
Wednesday Addams is gone.
Sorry, so that's my point. So I'm like, hold up. So now I'm starting to think are we fucking crazy? Are we delusional? I was like, I know what the fuck I just saw. Like, I'm not a crazy person, and I'm a very rational thinking person. I gotta see it to believe it, right? So my eyes have never deceived me up to this point in my life. So I had no reason to believe that anything was wrong in my head mentally. So here we go. I jump back in the car. I'm like, hold on, I gotta see something. I needed to see where that little girl was and that group of people. I needed to see if they were real. So I turn around and I start fucking racing back up the hill. And the hill's bumpy and it's fucking like an old road. It's weird. There's houses on it, but they're like far and few in between. It was just a weird road, right? Shooting all the way up to the hill. I get all the way to the top at the intersection where the ice cream people were. I look both ways. Where the ice cream, where the bikers were at the ice cream shop. I look both ways at the intersection. I don't see any people. I never saw any people. They had maybe 4.5, 5 minutes to get away. It was about a 2-mile road.
But you would have saw the bus pull off.
It was a 2-mile road.
You would have saw the bus pull off, regardless.
I heard it pull off, but I didn't see it. I just heard it, and then I rushed out the car, and when I closed the door...
But there was no people.
I couldn't confirm anybody that I originally saw, neither could she.
There was no people.
I couldn't find the girl. I couldn't find the original pack of people. So, all right, I let this go. We didn't really talk about it that day. Maybe like a week or two go by, and all of a sudden I'm like, I couldn't, it just kept bothering me. Something was wrong, so I brought it up to her. I'm like, woman. Like, what happened that day? And she's like, all right, and I basically asked her, I was like, well, just explain to me what you remember. I didn't give her any details, and she described everything that we went through. Everything that that happened. And she backed up my story 100%. She saw the girl, the group of people disappeared, she heard the bus, she looked at the bus through the rear view, but we both never turned around to actually look at it. And when we both exited the vehicle, everything was gone. I don't know if we had some kind of time warp, I don't know. So here it is, it's a year later. And at this point, I looked up a bunch of information on Warren, Connecticut, and I couldn't find anything about a Halloween festival.
So you was looking to see, like...
I was looking, so here it is, the next Halloween, it's a year later, it's still on my mind. I couldn't let it go. I had to do something. Same time, I go back, and I'm like, yo, it's Sunday. It's second week in October. That's the same time that we were at that point. Let's go back and see what happens. I shit you not, I get to the fucking... Everything feels different, everything feels normal. I get to the intersection. There's the ice cream place. There's no bikers, but there's people there. There's people outside, they're eating ice cream. Everything looks the same. I look to the left to where that sign was last time. There's a sign. It says Warren Halloween Festival, but it's not old looking. It's not made of wood. And it doesn't look fucking like just creepy and old. It looks like a regular sign that somebody would digitally print. And it says Warren Halloween Festival this way with a big black arrow on an orange sign. Right? Everything is clearly telling me that there is a festival this way. Whereas last time, it was an old rickety sign carved that said Warren Halloween Festival.
Nothing else.
Nothing else.
Okay.
So I start driving down the road, instantly seeing a bunch of people. I see a bunch of ROTC kids in fucking in army fatigues, and they're directing traffic. They're everywhere. I'm like, I'm seeing this. This is real. I drive all the way down, and this is for the 2 miles it takes to get down that road. I start driving down, and all of a sudden I get to the end. There's people everywhere, and I look in that field, and there's a big-ass festival going on. Clear as day, you can't deny it. I'm looking from my mirror. I'm looking in real life. I'm like looking forward. There's people.
Okay.
I pull up. It's a little cloudy out. I pull up alongside one of these ROTC kids, and I roll down my window, and I'm nervous to ask him when I say this, and I finally muster up the courage, and I'm like, "Hey, man, what's going on here?" I already knew, but I needed to confirm. What's going on here? He's like, "Oh, it's the Warren Halloween Festival." And I go, "You guys have this every year?" And he goes, "No, I don't think we've had it in a couple years." So I'm like, "All right." And he goes, "Do you want to park?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." I was like, "I'm straight." And we drove away, and I was just like quiet and just processing it all. So basically, yeah.
That's fucked.
I'm still trying to figure out to this day what kind of like what kind of like alternate universe I dipped into, or
you were definitely somewhere else, man.
And this happened. There was no festival the year before, but here they are. They're having a festival, and everything that like the only thing I could think of is that I entered into some time where these people were going to the festival, and maybe their residual print was left behind. Or maybe like, you know what I mean? Like maybe like their psychic energy, their energy was left behind, and I just saw it. Me and her just entered into some weird right moment at the right time that we were able to see it.
That's fucked.
But this little girl was like the one that looked at me. It was almost like she was letting me know like something was up with this, and was like letting me know. She knew I was there. She was not an imprint. She was like.
She acknowledged you.
She acknowledged me. She was like something that was in another realm that saw me. And like, yes, I believe in the spirit world, and that's my belief.
She was like, "What's up, baby?"
I don't. None of you that.
Look at this candy apple.
If you've never experienced anything like this in your life, or any kind of paranormal, or something that you can't explain in life, because I could go on for days. I could give you a whole podcast about my experiences. That's just one.
Same.
That's just one. And. Everything I've experienced in life, there's no way I could question that there isn't something else going on that we can't see most of the time. But I saw it that day.
That shit cray.
That shit is cray. How about you?
Man.
Before we move on to something else.
I got a quick one. So, we lived Grandview Ave right next to Fun Stuff. And I don't know.
Tell people where that is.
That's in Bunker Hill section of Waterbury, Connecticut. And we lived on the first floor of this apartment, and I shared a room with my two sisters. So one night my sister Ashley is waking me up. I had to be probably about 7 or 8, and she was probably like 9 or 10. She starts shaking me. A minute, wake up. I'm like, what? She's like, there's a white lady standing in our doorway. And I just look at her like not like a white woman, like a white figure. I'll tell you.
So she could have been Korean.
She could have been Korean, but she was a white illuminated figure.
I'm just confirming. Okay.
So
she just looked white.
So yeah.
Her glow.
So I said, "Shut up, Ashley." She was like, "No, I'm serious. Look in the doorway." I'm like, "Stop lying." She's like, "Look in the doorway." So I look in the doorway. Sure enough, there is something as big as the doorway standing there. You could tell it had a shape.
Wait, so was it white or was it dark?
It was bright white, like a light, like huge, like it was as tall as the doorway.
Okay.
So you know, as a kid, you get scared. So I threw the fucking blankets over my head, like, yo, fuck that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, all right, we're standing there, we're laying under there. I'm like, I'm gonna peek, see if it goes away. Nope. Still standing there.
Still there.
Still fucking there. I didn't come out of the blanket.
You're like waiting, you're like closing your eyes, going under the blankets, you're like trying to figure out if this is real, like you're testing your mind, you're like, all right, maybe it'll be gone next time I look.
Yeah.
And you keep checking and it's still there.
I checked.
Just chilling. And then what is it doing? Is it looking at you?
Literally just standing there looking at us. Like you could tell.
Does it have an expression on its face?
No, it didn't have a face. That's what I'm trying to say is like you could tell it had a form. It looked like
so it wasn't a
body,
shadow, but it wasn't a shadow
But
person.
it wasn't a shadow person. It was like a very bright, huge thing that had like, I can't explain it, like floating light. Like like underwater, if you have like something long,
right?
And like you move and it like an octopus, like that's the way the light looked around it.
Its movement was just wrong.
It was wrong.
For our dimension of our existence on Earth, it was just wrong.
Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck it was.
Right.
And one more. I lived on Eustis Street in Oakville.
Okay, I know where that is.
So, my mom was fucking with the Ouija board. Like, let's just be real.
Yeah, you should never fuck with Ouija boards, kids.
So, I was 10 at the time. So it was feeling funny in the house. Like you could tell, like the atmosphere.
This was
funny.
after it was the same day.
This was like 2 years later. We moved.
So this was 2 years after she fucked with the Ouija board.
Yeah. So it was like this house was old. So old that the basement was like detached from the house, and you had to go like underground, like with the dirt.
I know what you're saying.
It's like old as shit.
Italian houses.
Yeah, it was like old as shit. Starts feeling weird. It's summer. We go down to Sylvan Lake, which was like a park that was like right down the street.
It's daytime?
Yeah, it's daytime.
It feels weird.
Feels weird. So we come back.
Day just started weird.
We come back. Everything in the house is flipped upside down. Every piece of paper, everything on the wall, everything is
in the house
upside down. Yeah.
Everybody was gone from the house?
Everybody was gone from the house. Not one soul in the house. The couch was flipped upside down. It was fucking weird. It was just weird as shit.
Huh.
Everything was upside down. Things that were taped to the wall were upside down. And my mom couldn't find her car keys. They were fucking on the wall. Stuck on the wall.
Her car keys?
Her car keys stuck on the wall.
Stuck to what?
A piece of tape that was behind a picture that fell.
Just stuck.
Stuck on my kids.
So everything was just kind of turned upside down?
Everything was literally upside down.
It was like some Enfield haunting shit.
Everything was upside down.
So what did you do?
We ended up moving.
You rented that house?
Yep.
That's crazy.
That shit was crack.
That shit is crack.
Don't fuck with the Ouija board.
I grew up in an area where...
Fuck that.
We lived by a swamp, kind of. When I say swamp, it was like, to me, it was just like a creek. But everybody in the neighborhood called it a swamp. And, you know, you could hear like frogs and like there was like lily pads and shit in that thing. But you couldn't really go back there because it was kind of on someone's property. So we didn't really fuck with it. You could just hear it and you always knew it was there. You could hear like water flowing. And I know that there were Indians in the area, Native American Indians at one point. I believe the Mattatuck Indians. And my whole life, I could hear the high school when they would play games. Like when they would have football games, I could hear the announcer and I could hear the band, like the fucking marching band they would play. And I would hear the beating of these drums, like, and I would hear this shit while the game's going on. And I could hear the crowd sometimes when they would get excited. And even though the high school was like a good mile away, and I could hear this shit on like a spring night, when they would play. I don't know. I could just hear this shit at all different times. But I remember, I never thought anything of it. I would hear it my whole life. It would be like summertime, and I would hear these drums, and it'd be nighttime. And then it'd be all different times. Like it could be during the day. It would be like just in certain moments when I would be in my backyard and I would hear these drums, and I would always just be like, oh, it's a high school. When I got to a certain age, I realized, like, wait a minute. Like I started putting two and two together. I'm like, it's fucking summer.
Yeah.
How am I hearing?
I can confirm that.
Drums at the high school.
Yeah.
So years of
I heard it.
Years of having people stay at my house, my friends. People be like, yo, I was like sleeping last night and I heard drums. Like, go ahead, tell us.
About 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I think we were partying or some shit. I just passed out on the couch down in the basement. And all of a sudden I get woken up to like Jumanji sounding drums, like do 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 do, like, you know, loud drums.
Right.
So I'm like, what the fuck is that? And like, I'm looking outside, nothing, like,
right,
complete silence.
I think
I woke your wife up.
Right.
I'm like, Danielle, I hear some shit going on.
Yeah, I was like grown ass man realizing realizing that, like, when I would stay at my parents' house, that there would be these drums that would play. And then this is a fact that I know happened. I'm like 16 years old. I'm at my parents' house before I moved out. You know what I mean? I'm 16. I'm smoking weed. It's summertime. The sun has just gone down, so it's like 9 o'clock at night. It's like middle of summer. I see like a glowing light coming from my neighbor's, like, my mother's neighbor is like extremely Italian. She doesn't even speak English.
She's funny.
She doesn't speak any English.
I swear she eats squirrels.
She freaking, like, literally, like, makes ragu out of rabbits and all that shit. That's what ragu is. And she fucking, like, makes a sauce with it. She literally has rabbits to do this. So she has, like, this huge, her whole yard is taken up by a garden that she, like, has cabbage and all kinds of, like, fresh vegetables and stuff that she has. And
beautiful garden.
Beautiful garden. So I see this light coming from her garden, and it just kind of walks through, and it starts to take form. And I can see the shape of something, and all of a sudden it gets to like this big oak tree that's in the backyard, and it forms into like a man, like literally before my eyes. And this is what I saw. Like, I can't explain it. I would never make something like this up. And it looked like a Native American man. And like, so I started to put all this together, and I'm like, there had to be Indians here at one time. And these drums I'm hearing, I think, are like
war drums or some shit?
Are imprinted from some like war drums, yeah. That they would, because they sound a little angry. The
yeah,
drums.
like I'm telling you, like the Jumanji drums.
And we would experience things our whole lives growing up there. And there's times where, like, I'll be going through some shit, I'll lose my apartment, I'll go back and move in with my parents for a little bit. Something would happen, and I would be back there, and these things would still happen as an adult, or as a, you know what I mean, like, in like my early 20s, you know what I mean? Like, these things would still happen. And yeah. Cray. So yeah, paranormal shit, man. Connecticut is known for paranormal. We're known for, we executed the first witch.
Absolutely. They'll tell you that in Salem.
I read this interesting fact that back then, when they would accuse you of being a witch, and Connecticut was one of the first in New England to ever do that. We were the first, and we were the first to execute a witch. But when you were accused, there was a situation where these people, I forgot what town they were in, but they chased this girl.
Moodus? Was it Moodus?
No, there was some, it could have been, but the one I'm talking about, it was like somewhere in Southern, I want to say it was almost like Seymour or Milford or something. They just chased this girl from her house, an angry mob, and just murdered her, just killed her in the street because they accused her of being a witch. Like,
no proof?
They didn't try her, nothing. She didn't have a trial, nothing. She wasn't tried for it. They just accused her and murdered her. That's what they did. They would form vigilante like posses, and they would just fucking take justice into their own hands.
Down with Mary Lou.
Imagine that. Imagine living in a time where you could be accused of being a witch for like nothing. Your neighbor just don't like you.
Your bushes are too green.
You got a third nipple.
Your crops are too good.
Like, literally, they would execute people for having a third nipple. Just stone you.
That's some shit.
I have a third nipple.
My son does.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a real nipple. It's just like a little imprint. So we call it a third nipple. Like, I'd be executed.
You have a nubbin.
I have a thing. What would you call this? It looks just like a little dimple.
It looks like a little nipple.
It looks like whatever it looks like. But
witch!
It's still sexy, though.
Witch!
Anyway.
Drown him if he lives, he's a witch.
I would be murdered. That's what I'm saying. Like, but imagine
Kill
that.
him twice!
Imagine living in a time where, like, your neighbor's chickens die, and you guys had a dispute the week before.
He's like, obviously.
You guys had a little disagreement in his rational thinking mind. He's like, well, this fucking motherfucker, John Cooper, must have...
Charles Edward Horse?
He must have put a curse on me and my family, because why else would my chickens die? Couldn't be any scientific reason. It has to be...
Couldn't be that everybody had dysentery in the 1800s.
It couldn't possibly be anything else. It just must be the easiest rational way in my fucking stupid inbred fucking Puritan mind is to fucking accuse this man of being a witch, or his family, or his daughter, or his wife.
And they would murder them.
And that's how it starts, man. That's how it starts. Oh, freaking, the other day a branch fell from my tree and I looked and my neighbor, 90-year-old old man Wilcox, was staring at me. He must have did it with his mind because he's a witch. This is what they thought.
Well, there was nothing for them to do. They probably was hysteria.
Imagine how fucking stupid you are to think, I don't give a shit if it was 300. This is 300 years ago. Think about where our minds are now. And we still do stupid things. Yesterday, a man went and shot up a synagogue, injured a bunch of people, and killed one person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, people are still stupid and do stupid things like that. Just take like matters in their own hands and go murder people for no reason. We still live in we think we're so advanced. We still live in a country where we just
crusading over.
We think we
religions.
We still murder each other over religion.
Absolutely.
Like if we're still murdering over religion, then maybe we shouldn't have religion. Like, or maybe religion we should all just believe and just agree that if you believe there's a God or an almighty or some kind of higher force, that's just what it is. Why does it have to be? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what you should believe in, but I don't understand why we should have to believe in so many different things and then murder each other over it. And it's like, even if you do believe in different things than
What this country was built on.
Yeah, well, what fucking business is that of mine to tell you? But like, if it meant like, I'm not like, I don't know, man. That, you know, you got Notre Dame burning down.
Yeah.
The Church of Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Starts in the attic. I mean,
Quasimodo couldn't get out.
I mean, people have been burning churches in freaking, you know, Scandinavia
We were just
for
talking
years.
about that last podcast.
I mean, I don't know, man. I grew up in a religious family.
Same.
I had to go to CCD, catechism,
Same.
or Sunday school, whatever you people refer it to over the
I'm
week.
so gay, Mom.
We didn't go. You know what I mean? I can't tell you what to believe in. I myself believe in a higher power.
Yes.
I'm not gonna tell you what that is, or what form or fashion.
I'll tell you, Jesus ain't white.
But I know I'm not gonna go. I know. There's nothing rational in my brain that could explain why and what context or what moment in life could happen that would make me ever murder somebody over a religious belief.
The only people who do that are religious fucking people. Those are the people that judge. Those are the people that murder.
Satanists don't even murder people over shit. So like, why are you?
Satanists are vain. Shout out to you, Satanists.
Why is some kid in freaking like
Milwaukee,
North Carolina like getting mad and be like, I gotta just shoot some Jews, or I gotta just shoot some pilgrims, or like, I mean, whatever they're called.
Pilgrims?
What are they called? Freaking Amish.
Amish?
I gotta just shoot some.
Same fucking thing.
I gotta just shoot some Amish. Like, for what? What are they? What is your deal, bro?
Yeah.
And like they disguise it as like freaking like some kind of like political or like religious
bullshit
reason. You're just crazy.
Yeah.
You're just crazy, dude. You're a spree killer. Yeah. That's what you are. That's what I mean. That's
Preach about it, Freeze. Tell them about it.
You're just crazy.
Take me to church.
I mean, Charles Manson did what, you know, he formulated a plan and wanted people murdered in Hollywood. He orchestrated it and he made it happen. He's just crazy. I don't care.
Nothing godly about
I don't
him.
care what the fucking reasoning behind it is. You're just crazy for doing these things.
Rest in peace, Sharon Tate.
I don't care what the conspiracy, I don't care if you want to say helter skelter, whatever the motive, he still just went and murdered a woman and her friends and then murdered a couple for no reason, dude. In my mind, for no reason. So you want to call it symbolic? No, you're just crazy, dude.
He was mad about the record deal, let's be real.
Whatever the reasoning is, you're mentally ill, dude.
He was mad.
You're just mentally ill. Normal people, I have an imbalance.
Everybody.
I'm probably like diagnosed bipolar. It's none of your fucking business. But like, I don't have fucking urges to go murder a bunch of Amish people on a Sunday.
Why a Sunday?
I'm just saying, you're crazy. These are crazy people that have impulses to kill anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever their motive is, they have an impulse to kill. It doesn't matter if you have an impulse to kill strangers that you don't even know, that just represent something symbolically in your brain.
Like Nazis.
You're the one that is crazy. You're the one that has a problem.
Why are we not killing Nazis?
I think we did.
No, we didn't.
Neo-Nazis still exist.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, if you're still racist in America in that sense.
Fuck you.
Like, we're all something else, dude. I'm sorry. We're all something else. Even people that think, let me give you a fucking good example. My fucking wife, her whole life, thinks that she thought she was French. Her whole life.
Ah, yeah.
Her last name is a French name. It sounds like it. When they did that ancestry shit, found out she was Greek.
Greek?
You could be from, like, England, raised your whole life, get, like, your DNA tested, and all of a sudden find out that you're
Finnish.
Yeah, you're something else.
You're Dutch.
You're fucking Korean barely. You're like, you have a little bit of Korean in you.
Yeah.
You could find out all kinds of crazy things. None of us are just one thing anymore.
No.
And like, if you're still one of these people that are like, we need to keep it pure.
Fuck you.
We're gonna have somebody like fucking, we're gonna have the KKK pissed off.
Fuck you.
I don't give a fuck. If you're still like a person out there and you're like, I'm down with the Klan.
Fuck you.
What fucking era are you living in, bro? Go get your fucking, go.
Wash your bed sheets, you pansy bitch. You probably want to fuck your mother.
If you still wear like fucking cowboy boots and fucking, and you don't even have a
snake skin,
and you don't even live on a ranch.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. If you still wear a cowboy hat and it's not even sunny out and you're not riding a horse.
Fuck you. If you still rock South Pole and Echo.
But that's another thing. Whole other thing.
Fuck you.
But man, I'm not gonna tell you what to believe in, but like, if you still live in this mind frame where like everything's black and white to you, and that means literal and metaphorical.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Like,
we don't play that shit
beautiful
here.
Like, everybody on Earth has something to offer.
Except you people.
I like Chinese food. I like karate.
Karate?
I appreciate the technology. Asian women are pretty.
Their vaginas might be sideways, though.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate all races of people. I appreciate all people for who they are.
Absolutely.
What the fuck?
But if we as people cannot see that there's still ignorance towards different.
How are you born living your life and like in your like I know in my soul when I'm thinking something that's wrong or when I'm doing something that's wrong. How do these other people just like they're born? They just act like piece of shit.
They're inbred.
Continue to act like piece of shit. Die.
They come from generations of
shit.
inbred.
I don't care if your mom is on meth. Like, I don't give a fuck what your upbringing was. We all can feel in our souls right from wrong.
Yeah.
All of us. I'm not trying to sound like a Joel Osteen or something.
No, that's the truth.
I'm just saying, we all know right from wrong because it's imprinted in our DNA.
Yeah.
It's imprinted in our fucking DNA. Mm-hmm. So anybody that goes out and does these weird things, they have something wrong inside their brain. Something didn't develop right.
Yeah, and you know what? Fuck you.
Fuck you. Anybody that, and as Americans, we like glorify these people that do these horrible things. We never talk about the victims.
I just said that.
The victims just become like a statistic. Statistic.
That's it.
And like we were talking about Sharon Tate, because Sharon Tate, if you think about it, is the only thing we should be glorifying in this situation.
Just be talking about Sharon Tate.
And Jay Sebring.
And all Sebring and all that.
And Abigail Folger. And Stephen Planner. And what was his name? Wachowski? Roman Polanski's boy.
The fucking Frenchman.
Whatever he was.
We should be talking about them and not glorifying the fact that Charlie Manson organized this. And
I don't give a shit what Charles Manson's reasoning behind it was. He's a piece of shit.
He killed a baby.
He took away a bunch of young people in Hollywood that had nothing to do with anything to do with him.
Yeah.
And like, I want to talk to you about this because we talk about how everything is connected in a way. Now, I don't know the real motive behind all of it. I really don't care. I think about the sadness behind it, and I'm sorry to Sharon Tate and all those people. I'm sorry to her baby. But like, around that time, Roman Polanski had just made the movie Rosemary's Baby, which is about a man and his wife that move into an apartment in Dakota, which is the same building that John Lennon lived in and he was murdered out front of. And a building that's been like enriched with Hollywood elite and like people of higher class for years before that. And the movie is about them moving in and he's failing as an actor. He's not getting the parts he wants. All these things are not working for him. And they befriend this old couple that lives across the hall.
Creepy as shit.
Who recently they had a girl that was living with them, and the girl supposedly jumped and killed herself. So they're lonely and they want people to talk to, so they start having dinner with these people. All of a sudden, you know, they start having discussions about certain things and about his career with the couple. And next thing you know, he's getting parts in plays that he wants, and he's getting TV, and all these things are happening to his career, and it's like booming. And all of a sudden, his wife's pregnant, right? And then somewhere along the way, she finds out that she's involved in some kind of thing that she has no control over, and she starts suspecting that there's some foul play going on here, and people are like, don't have her best interests at heart, from the doctors that she's seeing and the things that they want her to take for her baby. It all just doesn't seem right. She comes to find out that her baby was basically conceived by the devil in a satanic ritual with some witches.
Fucked up.
All of a sudden, Sharon Tate's murdered. She's pregnant. That's his wife.
Same scenario.
He's not there.
Quote unquote.
This guy was not famous before this movie. He had made like one movie before that, I think, in Europe. And I'm not here to slander Roman Polanski in any way. I'm just giving you the
fuck him.
I'm just giving you the facts of what it is. And then, you know,
baby fucking raper.
Let's look at the people that did this. Susan Atkins murdered Sharon Tate herself. Said, "I bitch, I don't care about your baby." Susan Atkins. There are photographs of Susan Atkins involved in a satanic ritual with Anton LaVey in the early '60s. So Susan Atkins had already had some kind of history and hand in the occult, Satanism, whatever you want to call it, the macabre. She already had some kind of thing going on. And another thing I want to point out is that another Manson family member, his name is Bobby Boussalet or something like that. He's doing time for murdering a man named Gary Hinman by stabbing him to death on behalf of Charles Manson. And he's in this movie that was made by a man named Kenneth Anger, who's a renowned Satanist and Aleister Crowley follower. And he made a movie called Invoking Thy Demon Brother, and he did another one that, what was the other one?
Oh, the fucking weird one?
There's another one too, and this one has Bobby Boussalet in it, and they're like smoking out of a skull.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
what was that called?
All this weird shit. They're all, you can look them up on YouTube, Kenneth Anger. He has these short films. They don't have any commentary to them. There's no dialogue or anything. He just talks about, you know, this is just what he just shows a bunch of satanic imagery and like rituals, like Satan. He literally does a satanic ritual on camera. And Susan Atkins, so you have Susan Atkins, who was already like linked to Anton LaVey in the Church of Satan, and then you got her involvement with the Sharon Tate murder and being part of Charles Manson and his family and his cult. You got Bobby Boussalet, who's in this movie, this Kenneth Anger movie, which also was supposed to be, which was soundtracked originally by Jimmy Page.
I was gonna say, didn't Jimmy Page soundtrack that shit?
But he didn't give him enough time, so he got mad. So then it ended up being it ended up being Mick Jagger that did the soundtrack, and Mick Jagger's even in one of them for a minute. So you have all these weird connections in Hollywood that just kind of connect, and like you don't understand. It's almost like a domino. You can't help but put your finger on it. I mean, but you can't help but point your finger at it and be like, what is going on here? Now, I'm not here to say that Sharon Tate was involved in something that was much larger than what they're making out to be, or much deeper. I'm not here to say that Charles Manson was involved in some kind of scheme that had to do with Roman Polanski, but I just want you all to think and use your brains, because sometimes, like I said, everything is not black and white. Sometimes you gotta look a little deeper beneath the surface to figure out what's going on in life.
That's some deep shit. That's some quantum shit.
Some people get murdered for talking about shit like this.
Why'd you look at me like that?
Hopefully we're never one of those. Hopefully we're never one of those people. Knock on wood. You know, because you know, I just want you all to think. I'll never tell you what to believe, but you know. That's why this is called word vomit.
Be an individual.
We're just saying what we're thinking.
We're just talking bullshit.
But we're gonna play you a song. And then we're going to get right back into our next segment. This is our interview portion of the podcast. We're going to be interviewing Mercy Count's newest artist.
That's right.
Who's got a new album out called Holy Vigilante.
Yeah.
He goes by the name of DNazareth.
Size 15 shoe.
Yeah, Sasquatch. We'll be right back.
Now I'm off to save the day. Who you gonna call now? I was chilling in the back cave. Mr. Fox got me fitted for a chest plate. Grabbed a resupply of ammo and grenades. I can hear trouble calling. Now I'm off to save the day. Found a couple worth of search and snatching purses. Guess they wanna take a rest up in my hearses. Got enough to tangle people with the serpents. Jake with the snake in the bag, make you nervous. I face evil every time there's a dilemma. I never quit on my holy vendetta. The world needs me, so I gotta keep pursuing. Flying around the city, watching over all the humans. I love the people and they give me love back. I feed the poor and I toss homies dove sacks. All the kids cheer running through the town. No fear when I'm here. Who you gonna call now? Who you gonna call now? Now I'm off the stage. Who you gonna call now? Now I'm off the stage. Oh shit, I hear the danger alarm. Looks like I'm about to put my cape on. Scratch my nuts and I put on my garb. Take a shot, light a cigar and jump in the car. Got a power rocket engine in the back. Oil slicks, Nas kits in the jacks. I go hard when I'm on patrol. Show up at your front door like you on parole. Dr. Rose, so I better bring the light laser. Last time, yo, he hit me with the mind eraser. But I ain't going out like that. So I wear Magneto's helmet to deflect it right back. Yeah, he tried to hit me right home where it hurts. Got my lover tied up in a church. Sally Jones in a cage, got my heart full of rage. I'll invade, but I need a plan first. Who you gonna call now? Oh shit, it's the Nazareth, and he has it is. It's the Nazareth, it's the Nazareth. Who you gonna call now? Oh shit, it's the Nazareth, and he has it is. It's the Nazareth, it's the Nazareth. Who you gonna call now? Now I'm off the same. Who you gonna call now? Now I'm off the same. Who you gonna call now? Save the jam. Save the jam. The jam. Who you gonna call now? Call now. Call now. Now I'm off to save the day. Look up in the sky. The crow, it's a mess. Now I'm off to save the day. Now I'm off to save the day. Who you gonna call now?
That was DNazareth with his newest single, brought to you by Mercy Counts Records, which is me and Amanda.
No.
All right. So, DNaz, explain to them who you are and how you got started in this rap game.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? It's DNazareth. So I started off I would say about when I was like 13. I grew up around the shoreline of Connecticut, the New Haven area, the greater New Haven.
The greater.
Where the sun shines and the bullets fly. It's nice.
and the pizza
stop down.
And the pizza pie.
The pizza
the
pie.
food's worth dying for. So,
back when chicks was still open.
Oh yeah, so when I was younger, I just kept going. I kind of put it down for a little while after Hurricane Katrina happened. Because that bitch slapped my house. And she came down like, the Wicked Witch of the West.
Sandy, you mean Sandy. You said Katrina.
Oh, I'm high as fuck. I'm sorry. No,
I was wondering if this was a fairy tale story. I didn't know it was going.
I was like, he lived in New Orleans?
I was like, what? I was like, wait, this dude.
He lived in New Orleans.
I was like, he's from New Orleans?
New Orleans.
He's from New Orleans.
Peabody.
So apparently I was getting hit by Katrina. Well, fuck her too anyway.
It wasn't Katrina.
Fuck Katrina. Fuck Katrina. No, it was Irene.
Oh, okay, Irene.
It was Irene. So another bitch. Another bitch.
Bitches.
Yeah, another bitch.
Not in New Orleans.
Kids, drugs are bad.
I got hit by Hurricane Sandy too, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Fuck that bitch. So what happened?
All the bitches.
That was just a bitch with crabs.
When there's a hurricane with a girl's name, I'm scared.
Alright, so what happened during Irene?
Okay, so I had like my whole studio set up. I had all my shit, but like a lot of my towels on the floor like this, but I was in the basement. The entire condo complex flooded.
Oh.
And then I just lost everything.
When there's a will, there's a way, man.
Were you like, shit?
I was pissed.
He was like, damn.
Hurt. I was deeply hurt. This is about, I don't even know when this was, but
you cried.
Damn near.
I don't want in the shower. I was
you
crying
had
in the
to?
shower.
You had to do it.
Damn near.
You just had to cry.
Well, so I did now. I'm crying now. That's it.
You're supposed to pass them the weed.
You're supposed to pass them lunch.
I haven't even lit it yet because I'm talking. You asked me questions.
They were here.
Sorry, my voice is all fucked up because
we have guests in the studio. They wanted. Wait, hold on. They wanted to smoke weed with us while we did this.
Perhaps we should go get them.
Because sometimes we multitask.
Here.
Hey.
Hey. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, what's up, everybody?
Yo, that's the nasty girls.
That's nasty.
DNazareth brings the nasty girls on the back.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh dear god.
I said, Karen, why?
What were we talking about?
You.
Oh, okay,
So what brought you? All right. So
recently.
Explain to these people the first time you met. All right, hold on. This studio doors are flying in and out.
It's happening.
Tell everybody the first time you knew what the fuck a Mr. Freeze was, or Freeze Martian, or Freeze.
Oh shit.
Why we gotta talk about Freeze?
I'm just interested because I never asked.
He
loves him.
Freeze loves Freeze.
He was narcissist.
It all kind of plays into where I'm going with this.
Okay, let's go.
No, this is a long backstory because back in the day, I actually used to sell merch with someone we used to work with right around the time you dropped Red Snow. And I used to come see you play all the time back then. I used to see, when I was selling merch for someone you work with, and then
Somebody that worked for it?
we
Oh,
worked together for it.
did he have dreads?
Yeah,
Oh, you sold merch for him? When did you sell merch for
I did
him?
a long time ago.
Where was
have
I?
Pictures, actually.
What was I doing? What was I doing?
I don't know. You were still. Donnie Menace was around at this time.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, that was a minute ago.
Yeah. No, this is a long time ago.
That was a minute ago.
Yeah. Used to kill it.
And what? All right. So you weren't really rapping like that then?
I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I did. I writ and I rapped. That actually was when I was writing. I was mainly making beats, but I was writing too. And I had so many beats, and that's when I lost everything. And that's how it's weird. We've always stayed in touch, like through the distance, but we've seen each other.
Right.
We all go to the same places.
First time I met DNazareth, I could actually remember who his face was. I think it was sometime around 2007. 2008 maybe. Sometime around there, I want to say. Where I saw you at like a show, like a Webster.
I would say, yeah, that's correct.
Like a Webster.
Yeah, it was definitely maybe Webster or...
Which is, if you're not familiar, that's the Webster Theater in Hartford, Connecticut, which is like a legendary rock venue and like rap venue and like, just all around music venue. Alright, so tell them about your last two projects and like leading up to like what you where you are now.
Starts in the beginning.
All right, so we link back, you know what I'm saying? And I think December 28th was when, I officially came over to Mercy Counts.
You saw how big my penis was.
Oh my God. You have
about your penis.
Listen.
It's my business.
We're not supposed to talk about these things.
I was supposed to tell them about that
That's
part?
my business. We talking about your penis.
Tell them what it takes to really be initiated into Mercy Counts Records.
You just have to take it. Just take it. Just take it.
The door closes.
He is a backdoor man.
And bad things happen in that room.
I said no.
He touched my no-no.
Show me on the doll when Freeze touched you.
Everywhere.
Anyway.
I'm sorry.
He still hasn't passed the blunt. It's been a fucking hour.
It's been hitting. It's legit.
When we started this interview an hour ago, we just got to this point
Can
now.
I smoke?
Like, could she smoke with you?
Can I smoke with you?
Cat
Like I
smoke
told
with
you?
y'all. So, and then, my first project I did, and I was, when I was coming back to rapping, was Tripping on the Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was released in January.
Running with the bricks. Running with the bricks.
Running with the
Yeah.
bricks.
That is a nice bow.
It's a nice
And then-
folder.
Hey, stuff like.
Recently, Mercy Counts Records dropped 3 new EPs. One was the Xplizt Bully EP on 420, along with the Freeze Martian EP, Freeze Pop,
Freeze pop.
and of course DNazareth, Holy Vigilante.
Holy.
Yes, and you guys, it's very rare. I'm glad to make it out from, taking care of my city, watching after people around here, making sure
Taking care of business.
everybody, taking care of business. Doc-O was out there,
He was.
tune in.
Way out there.
You gotta
He
tune
came, he
in.
saw, he conquered.
How's the future looking for DNaz? What are your plans? What do you plan to do? What do you got on your horizon?
I have so many ideas brewing.
First, we gotta stay out of
I
jail.
do. Yes, that would
We
help.
all gotta stay out of jail.
I mean, that's a given. That's number one.
That's been, hey, Lord,
Jesus, be offense.
Lord has been good to
Jesus,
me.
take the
Amen.
wheel.
I haven't seen balls in a while.
Jesus is just alright with me.
Jesus, my homeboy.
Jesus Lord.
Lord,
Oh, G.O.D.
you know,
You know me.
Nazareth and the Jesus.
Yeah, man.
We
You could also
dapping it up.
You could also catch DNaz on Xplizt's EP Bully,
Yeah.
and you can check him out on my new EP Freeze Pop.
Yeah.
You can also check him out on the Beyond Top Secret album Destroy and Rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out T Posey. You know what I'm saying?
Spotify, anywhere digital albums are streamed or sold.
So my future is looking like I think I have another. I have a full length album. I haven't had one yet, so I'm gonna do a debut full length album
On Mercy
coming
Counts
out.
Records.
and it's gonna be on Mercy Counts Records.
And it's gonna be called what?
This is still in the works, but I do have a concept and I do have a build for it.
Okay.
Not a complete concept, but just
Okay.
it's dope. It's gonna be dope.
Okay.
It's gonna be different than what I just did.
It's gonna be like
I like DM. I can tell you what, it's gonna be hard as fuck.
Okay.
It's gonna be hard.
Do you want to
as
sit in with
fuck.
us on this next segment and talk with us for a little bit before we close this show
I
out?
would love to. I was listening from the lab and I was just like, shit, I heard,
We're gonna
I
play
got
you-
shit to say.
We're gonna play you one more song from DNazareth and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
BTS froze up, you know you done fucked up. Oh, Doc-O, nice plot, ho. But now you awoken the evil apostle. My eyes changed, they all black. Wings shed and I grown back. That new style, looking like a bat. Fangs glow when my neck snaps. Where's Doc at? Loud roars, cracks form on the ice floor. I can hear screams through the ice door and the ground shakes. I'm like, oh great, another villain trying to meet fate. Another soul like an intake. I form a disc like a gold plate and I blow the door. Let's see what I'm in for. The smoke clears, all I see is red eyes. Outstepped an Iceman. Well, thank you all for the surprise. What a guy. I see that red breath in the cold when he crept up. He got up on 2 legs and spit out a big flame, now I'm about to step up. I threw a kick at him, I threw a punch at him, like hitting cold steel, so I threw a brick at him. I hit his left cheek, he gave a loud screech. He stomped his paws down, showed his teeth and growled at me. Should I kick his ass? He ain't nothing but a. Should I jack his jaw? He ain't nothing but a. Wanna go to war? I can take it to ya. Wanna go to war? I can bring it to you. That's all you got. I left that big pet in pieces. The fuck you think this is? On my back is Jesus, son. I'm flying around the corridors like I'm Baltimore. I'm eating people like I'm right back. You can feed me more. I got a couple foes that's chasing and pin me down. Some headless villains and they ride in some demon hounds. I threw my disc out and I cut down the legs of one. Another bit me right, kicked out my laser gun. I pulled him down, he hit the ground, I poked the dog's eyes. I did a backflip with a back kick, then the dog cried. He whimpered off, that bitch is soft, I don't know why they test me. I'm stacking the bodies up high in this building, so tell the man come and arrest me. I scream and rumble walls like I'm turning Super Saiyan. I'm putting cracks in the ceiling till it break down and cave in. Now me and Dr. Rowe are crawling out the rubble. I'm about to square off with this bitch, boy, he in trouble.
What is it that you want from all this, Dr. O?
What I want you cannot give. Blood is all that will be payment. The only payment I will be receiving.
All right, welcome back.
No, it's not. Oh, it is? Okay.
Word vomit. Word vomit with
Fuck you.
and poo face.
We got Beaks as himself in the third.
We got DNaz still sitting in with us, and we want to ask DNaz, you know, what's a ghost? All right, first of all, do you believe in ghosts?
100%.
Have you ever had? All right, so tell us about a ghost experience you may have had, or something that scared you, or something that was weird happening back in the day.
I've had a couple encounters. In Connecticut, everything that I've ever felt was because I was playing around with things I shouldn't have been playing around with around here, around places around here. You know,
what were you doing?
I've messed around with a Ouija board before.
Fuck
that. I was reading things I shouldn't be reading.
Like what?
Like little
Like
black
about-
magic books and shit.
I mean, reading is one thing, but were you dabbling? Were you doing stuff?
Yeah,
Did you fuck a goat?
Because we
I
all
did not
read
fuck
things.
A goat, you know.
Okay.
Well, I didn't do anything like evil.
Did you slit a goat's
Nothing-
throat? Did you
no.
slit a goat's throat?
I
in your
did
ear?
not slit a goat's throat.
Chicken?
I may have done unexplainable things to it.
Have you? Or have you ever been
I don't want to be burned at the stake.
a homosexual?
No comment.
Okay. I don't know. It's from.
$20.
It's from Clockwork Orange. So do you have a specific story that's ever happened to you? That's something that
Yes,
comes to mind?
so one story that was one of the craziest, and I have to say that, and I know like this was not outside of my hallucinogenic mind at the time.
Yeah, we established
All right,
that earlier
so-
when we were talking about this
Yes.
too.
Well, no, I was.
That we were of sound mind and body when we saw these things that we
No,
saw.
I cannot say on this one that I was, but this experience was something completely different.
Well, what-
I could say that I was on LSD at the time. I can
So
say
do
this.
we know that this was real ghost?
Yes.
stories?
Well,
No.
they say LSD opens your mind though, so I mean,
It does.
When the
Listen,
doors of perception are
Here's
open.
the difference, and this is why I'm going to explain it, because I felt presences before. I've had encounters before. This is something that's like I've been on LSD before. I know the difference between this is like not something.
All right, so what happened?
So let me.
All right,
So I'm
what
staying at a Catholic retreat outside of Cape
What
Rock.
the fuck were you on LSD for?
Because, I mean, you know, I'm
How old are you?
gathering.
Wait. How old are you?
I'm at the gathering in Illinois 2008. We stayed at the
Okay.
Catholic retreat at fucking, you know, down the. I'm at the gathering. Now everything
Hold
makes
on.
sense.
Let me interpret this. He's at the Insane Clown Posse's annual gathering of the Juggalos, and he's on LSD.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Go.
Yes. Okay. So, all right. So earlier in the trip, we were walking around this. It was like more towards nighttime. Walk around the like this retreat, and they have like the walk of the crucifixion, like all these like boards, like you walk up like these steps, and you get to this place, and there's just like all these statues. And these statues were it's just like the presence that was in this place was something like really different. And like I know
This was happening at the gathering?
yeah, this was because
believe
this
it.
was like, yes, I was at my own dope ass retreat trip, and I was like,
What
you know,
year?
like it was
What
just
year?
like 2008.
That was Cave and Rock?
Yeah. Cave and Rock, yeah.
Okay.
That was second year at Cave and Rock.
So you went to the drug bridge, you got some LSD.
No, I did not. I didn't know of the drug bridge. Drug bridge was after my time.
Did you see any gangbangs?
I have seen, my first one was the Mud Year, and I saw a plethora of those.
You saw a plethora of gangbangs?
Mud and just gangbangs. Just mud and dicks.
That's gotta be a yeast infection waiting to happen going on.
Just
mud and dicks everywhere.
Naked bodies covered in mud.
Yeah, it's
just juggalos,
clown paint and fucking
just pure mayhem. I think I was 15.
Just STDs.
I was 15 and I was just like,
just STDs.
The fuck is going on?
Give me the clap, fuck it!
STDs for everyone.
The line was too long.
I heard that was a really big STD year. Like that was the year
that actually is where Juggalo Ebola branched from.
That's where it came from.
Where it was created.
It was genetically spliced that day.
Yes, that's right.
Juggalo Ebola came alive and started spreading its evil virus everywhere from that day forth.
We're all infected.
On day 2 of the gathering.
I'm gonna tell you right now, every time I go to the gathering and I play, I come back with Juggalo Ebola.
Yeah.
Or if I go to like
any clown show.
Anytime we go to like a rock and shock, you know, when we open for Twisted or something.
Juggalo Ebola. All up in it.
Like just sick for days. You don't even know why his throat hurts, burns.
You're like, do I have AIDS?
I made the mistake of letting a man who had like he had palm tree hair, and he was covered in face paint. I made the mistake of letting him drink off my bottle against my will because I had no choice. He kind of just grabbed it from me and was like, "Yo, can I please sip that? I'm thirsty." And I tried to like rub off his germs with my palm. But, I mean, I still got sick with Juggalo Ebola.
First of all, why did you say palm tree hair? Second of all, why'd you use your hand? You know how much shit you were touching?
You know, like Sideshow Bob from
yes, I know what you're talking
That's what his hair looked like.
From
The Simpsons. From The Simpsons.
I'm upset now.
That's what he looked like.
I'm upset now. So, did you see something? Or
no, this is the...
Yeah, what happened?
After this and all the weird statues, right?
Okay.
So
Describe the statues.
Now I go back to the statue. It was like... There's like, they're like angels, you know, I think it's probably like St. Michael's one of them, you know.
Okay, so saints.
Saints. Yes.
Okay.
But like all white, like white. So at the time, so like when I was a little fucked up, I was like, damn, this is like kind of creepy because, see, I like realize this is creepy because it's just like blank white statues staring at you. So I'm just like, whatever, but still, like there's presence there, but it's good. There's nothing like, you know, bad. So it's like, I go back to the gathering, I come back really, really late night now. And, now I get left at the hotel, and there is no cable at this place. The only thing on is like the, you know, like the Jesus Network. It's like, Lord, just like you know, like everything's so like I can't even watch it.
That's creepy enough in itself.
Yeah, and it's creepy enough in itself, right? You know what I mean? So now I know I'm just like so I'm just chilling. Everything's normal. Like I think I made a call. They're like coming back. I go outside and I'm like smoking, and all of a sudden like I see this like it looked like how you would see like a ghost, like a white, like, you know, like faint, like as clear as day, like a girl looking at me, just like nothing bad, nothing.
It wasn't a juggalette.
It wasn't a
coped out juggalette.
It wasn't a juggalette.
There was no.
Just a goth juggalette on fucking pure meth.
This wasn't a nun looking at me.
She didn't have no fucking yarn hair.
Like I spent, like I was frozen. Like, you know what I mean? I like you know, looked like I felt like.
In all seriousness, was it like a person? Like
yes, but it was just like the way I saw it.
She was inside.
It was like it was not from.
She was inside.
Here. It was not from here.
In the hotel or
this
out?
Was outside.
Oh, you were smoking.
So like right out the back deck, there's like this lake. You know what I mean? And there's like this like all like.
It was
like,
a lake lady.
It could have been a lady of the lake.
She fucking like.
She had a sword.
Died in there.
It could have been a lady.
Yes. There was a sword and a stone.
So what happened? Like, did you just say like fuck that and leave, or like did she go away?
So I like kind of like froze and like a little bit, and like she like
did
like,
she
walked away?
Was she a succubus?
Like just walked away and just like went, and I just went back inside. I remember I went back inside. And I like went right to like the bed, and I just like sat there.
So you weren't like tripping out. You weren't having.
I wasn't.
A bad
this
time.
Was like I'm telling you.
You were chilling.
I was tripping more during the day when I was at the statues.
Okay.
I feel like you're tripping telling us this story right now.
Yeah.
Just tripping on the green.
I'm always tripping on the green. So, like, you know, not saying that The reason why I'm telling this story is because I also have experiences that doesn't have to do with being on a sober mind or not.
Okay.
Or, you know what I mean? This is something that I know, like, that was there, that was not necessarily...
It wasn't there, but it was there.
It wasn't there, but it was there. Like, it shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, like you know.
It shouldn't have been there.
Well,
It
shit.
shouldn't have been there, even tripping.
Shit.
Xplizt and I actually had a experience together.
It was gay.
It was really gay.
Wait, we're not talking about that one?
No,
okay.
there's a
Okay.
before we get out of here, there's a cemetery where this
Don't talk about it.
It's called Hookman Cemetery.
Oh, fuck that.
And it originated. All right, so like one of the everybody's heard that story from urban legends about a man with a hook.
I'll be like the little girl from Blair Witch. No.
You know how like
No, don't.
So I'm gonna tell the audience, like, all right, so the story goes, you know, the teen couple's like pulled over, they're making out and shit, and all of a sudden the boyfriend's got a piss or something, or he hears like some scratching at the door.
I thought it was a babysitter.
And it gets out.
No.
And then, you know, the girl could hear like scratching on the roof, and she gets out the car and she can see the boyfriend hanging dead
From a tree.
up from a tree above. All right, so this story not only derives from Maine, but I believe, but also comes from Connecticut because Hookman Cemetery, supposedly the story goes that a boy who lived on the farm or a farm hand like freaked out and
It
murdered.
was the father.
No, murdered the family, and he had like a hook for a hand or something like that, and he murdered the whole family and like burnt the place. And
I thought
they were
that
all
was
buried.
The father lost
The
his father.
hash-slinging slasher.
No, it was the father.
The
who lost his son.
slash-ringing.
there's so many variations of it. It could be there is also a father lost his son or something like that, and he had a
They didn't
hook.
help him, so he got revenge.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
he had a
right.
hook. But all right, anyway, so this cemetery has that legend or whatever, and it's called Hookman Cemetery. So I was driving by one day, right, and the reason I'm telling you this all the times I went is because you should never go to some place more than 3 times. So I was driving by one, especially a cemetery. So I was driving by one day because I was
I
business.
come to my house every day.
No, all right, a cemetery.
Oh, okay.
So 7:30 in the morning, I remember hearing about Hookman's my whole life, and all of a sudden I spotted the road when I was coming through Wallingford one day, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I pulled down, and the street, it like was you know, started to get like kind of desolate, and the farther I got down, about 2 miles down, there's the cemetery, and there was still fog creeping from the cemetery
It's
that
a
early
fucking
morning.
creepy place.
There was already fog creeping from it at 7:30 in the morning. There was no fog anywhere else on the road, just in the cemetery.
Yeah, it was
7:30 in the morning.
It's just a weird.
So I look at it real quick, and I'm like sipping a McDonald's coffee, and I go home and like I tell my girl about it, and then like, you know, so one night me and her friend and her boyfriend or whatever, we take a ride out there, and I immediately, it was different because it's nighttime. So we get out, and I venture away from them immediately because I'm the type of person where I want to sense things like on my own. I don't want any influence from anybody else. So I go out and I'm like kind of like doing my own thing. I think I take a piss across the street at one point. I'm just trying to get a vibe, and I could hear what feels like footsteps going through the foliage and like through the leaves and shit. Yeah, I could hear footsteps, and like and every time I would turn around and look, they would stop, and then I would start walking again, and I would think they were mine, and I would hear them, and I could hear double footsteps.
So it was following you.
Yeah. So then I hear them, and they're like, you know, they're hearing shit, they're seeing shit, and I could see them by this tree, and supposedly like one of the guy with the hook is supposedly killed one of his victims hung from the tree over there. So that tree's still there. I can see like, looks like something almost kind of like crawling up the tree, but I'm not sure. But they're all staring by it.
Like an apparition?
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I couldn't tell if it was a shadow from them, but to me it looked like it was something was crawling up the tree. So then we leave.
Could have been a squirrel.
Could have been. No, it was bigger than that.
Could have been a raccoon.
Bigger than that.
Possum.
Bigger.
Bear.
Yeah, bears. I mean, if they just happened to not notice a bear.
Man, bear, pig.
So anyway, yeah, possibly chupacabra. So, Mothman.
Mothman.
Fucking.
That's fucked up.
Jersey Devil.
Yeah, fuck that.
Anyway, I still don't know if what I saw was like a shadow or something or what. But all right. So we get in the car, we leave, and later on they're looking at pictures and like they saw some shit in the tree. What did you see?
It was a face.
What? All right. So
Yell it.
All right, so we took a picture in front of the tree because everybody's talking about it. We took the picture. It was with an iPhone, so we thought it'd be good. So what ended up happening was they took the picture, and as we're driving home, the girl that I went with, she was like, oh, that place wasn't scary, da-da-da. Just going through her pictures, and clear as day, it's me and her under the tree. It literally looks like the branches are arms over us, and the face is like one of those like pumpkin. You remember the pumpkin head dude?
That.
And he's just like this. And I was like, dude, that's not real. So then we blew it up bigger, like, you know, stretched out, and yeah.
Right, and I remember seeing when they were taking pictures. Like I said, I saw something going up the tree as they were taking pictures. So, third time, I have Xplizt with me, and we're driving, and I already had kind of a bad feeling, like before we even got there. And as we're going down the road which leads to the cemetery, we're going through the radio station, and as we're flicking through, all of a sudden,
I just got chills.
you know, like you're going through like old radio and you're just hearing static. All of a sudden we're going through. It's like devil, the devil, and I'm like,
it's just like what the fuck.
And they say like they say that when something's trying to warn you from coming there, they say it'll send you signs before you get there.
The red eyes in the woods.
No, we don't follow the car.
So as we are driving down, I'm thinking I see these two big red lights.
Figuring it's brake lights.
I'm thinking it's brake lights, and all of a sudden everybody's explaining to me, they're like, there's no road over there, it's coming from the woods.
Yeah.
It was red eyes.
Yeah.
And it was looking at us.
Yeah.
We pull up to the cemetery.
This is facts.
Xplizt's like, you know what, fuck it. We already came here, but she hadn't been there as many times as me.
So I was like, let me get out of the car.
I'm like, something told me, don't get out, dude.
So he's looking at me, I got the door open, I'm like outside, and he's like, yo, get back in the car.
She's calling me like bitch, you know,
like,
you little bitch.
Yeah, I'm like, stop being a bitch.
She's calling me names, but something, believe me,
all the way here. Like,
I'm no stranger to ghost hunting. I've been doing this my whole life, and like, you know what I mean?
What's fucked up about it is that I don't fuck with shit like that, and like Freeze will tell you, I'm not with that shit. I don't want to go investigate a cemetery. I'm not going through haunted houses.
Nah, I'm gonna talk about California in a second, right after
this. So for me to be like, yo, let's go. Like, I was really down to go, and he's just looking at me dead face like, yo, get back in the fucking car.
Yeah, like, I'm not going.
There's like a green mist starting to form by the car. Like,
I got my window open, and I'm just listening, and I could just feel the bad energy, and she eventually gets back in the car, and we leave.
Somebody's watching me songs.
Yeah, and then somebody watching me comes on the radio.
Oh, that was creepy.
Weird.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Like dead ear, and then it cut in.
What's his name? Rockwell or whatever?
Yeah.
That came on the radio, and like there was a handprint
on the back of the
car.
On
the back window.
That's facts on my kids. Like, it was crazy.
So I won't go back because that was my third time.
I'll never go back.
I'll never go back. So then, and it reminds me of when, and this is the last story I guess we'll tell for the night, for our spooky edition. We went to California and we decided, all right, so we went to California and we were acting like tourists, the first trip, and we were acting like tourists for a night.
Yeah.
So we're like, we wanted to see like where the Black Dahlia was murdered.
Yeah.
We wanted to see, but that's what the original idea.
Yeah.
We wanted to see like where Black Dahlia was murdered. We wanted to see like where Jim Morrison's house was, his old bungalow. We wanted to see like the old like
the tourist shit.
Like stuff in Laurel Canyon.
I
was
want
like
to see hookers on Vine, Hollywood and Vine.
And then of course we wanted, you know, as being like naive, we wanted to go to Sharon Tate's house.
Recipe Sharon Tate.
Recipe Sharon Tate.
Okay.
Not really thinking like, again, even we make mistakes sometimes and we don't really think about the dead. So, and there's a point to what I'm trying to make with that. It's like, you know, you just think about the crime and it becomes glorified and you get sucked into it as like a media thing.
Yeah, Charles Manson.
So, we, you know, we're driving through Beverly Hills and we're driving, you know, all right, so.
Nice houses.
The hills in like Laurel Canyon and all that shit, like they're.
I'm not talking to you.
We, you can't be like.
Sorry, go.
So like if you're standing on Sunset Strip, you can see the hills. So, you know, we start traveling up that way, like Benedict Canyon.
There's no guardrails going up. There's
right.
nothing to secure you from falling off of the road down.
We're driving up. I think we saw this dude who's in the movie, That's My Boy with Adam Sandler. He plays the gay, or the brother that's having sex with his sister or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like driving a Lamborghini in front of us. No big deal. We're not really, you know, we're paying attention to just all this funny shit going on around us.
Yeah.
But everything starts taking like a, you know, we drive by Jim Morrison's like this country store that where Jim Morrison used to freaking go to, and he had an apartment, I guess, above it or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And as we got up, though, I started feeling like a drastic change in the mood.
Yeah.
And as you're coming up into the hills, like above the Hollywood sign,
It gets weird.
You know, you have the murder of, I mean, not murder, but you have the death of Peg Entwistle. She jumped off the Hollywood sign. She was a depressed actress back in the 30s or something like that.
It's like a shift. It's like a shift in
Like a
energy.
time
Like,
shift,
yeah, it's really weird. It's like very slow
You can
motion.
feel the pain.
and
And I want to say it was like 11 something at night.
It wasn't even that late.
No, it wasn't that late.
It wasn't
It was like
that
10.
late. It was probably 10 o'clock, 9:30,
Just turned 10.
10 o'clock, something like that.
All right, well, I remember it wasn't too late, but it was getting,
It was dark.
but it was getting into the, more.
It was getting the club in hours.
Yeah. So we're driving up that way, and I remember we stopped for a second. I think more of us had to pee. I think I had to piss.
Yeah, you pissed off the hill.
And the hill right above the Hollywood sign.
You're like, ah!
And I kind of thought about it like this little Peg Entwistle like jumped like not too far
And he's
down
not
from there.
pissing from where she jumped.
And it felt a little weird, but I didn't see nothing. You know what I mean? I'm not going into a story about Peg Entwistle. I didn't see nothing, but it did cross my mind. Sorry, Dave. I just felt.
good.
I just felt up.
strife.
I just jabbed
He was
DNazareth
trying
for no
to
reason.
creep on me.
So
weird.
as we get to, it's no longer 1050 Cielo Drive. It's the address has been changed, but we located the house, which is the new house that sits on the property. I had another one of those moments, and I'd never been there before in my life.
He didn't want to get out of the fucking car.
Something told me don't get out of this car. And
This man is forbidding me to get out of the car. I swear to God, he's like, no.
None of us are.
Like, nobody get out
I
of
didn't
this
want
fucking
anyone.
car.
I yelled for Xplizt to come back inside, and I'll tell you why I felt this way. I had a moment where I started picking up on the energy that had happened in that location.
I mean, 5 people got murdered.
I felt, and it happened. I'm not somebody who's gonna sit here. I'm very sensitive to what I think are spirits in the spirit world, but I don't think I'm like a medium or anything. But I think
You're an empath.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I immediately in a 30-second period picked up on. I could feel the energy of.
Get the fuck back in the car!
I could feel Tex Watson and Sadie Atkins
Like staring at you.
and all them sitting in a car. I could feel their energy waiting outside that house, like scoping it out, like going to murder
at
them.
the fence, like, whoa.
I could feel the sorrow and like the sadness that came radiating from the house, and that's obviously from what happened there. And I immediately felt disrespectful if I had gotten out of that car, because I no longer could look at it like it was an entertaining thing. It now had become real, and I felt it, and I felt how real it was, and I didn't want to be anywhere near it because it was that powerful when I felt it. And I just didn't want to disrespect anybody that had lost their life there, because to me it wasn't funny anymore. It wasn't a game. It was.
I never thought it was funny. I just think it's interesting.
No, but when you have these ideas, it's coming from a good place. Like you want to have fun and you're interested, but then when it actually hits you, like what happened to these people, I just couldn't do it. And then to this day, like I have nothing but condolences for the families of Sharon Tate and
Rest in
everybody
peace, Sharon Tate.
everybody that died that day. It's really crazy. But I felt something that day psychically that I can't really put my finger on, but I just could not. The energy was too strong for me.
It felt really, really weird to me, but not weird enough to scare me. It felt like, for me, it felt like, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Like, that's how I felt when I was, like, interested.
See, I
You know
didn't
what
feel
mean?
like that. I felt like I was drawn to it, but I felt like if we would have went to where Black Dahlia was murdered, I would have felt like
Let's get the fuck out of
sad.
here.
No, sad. Like, oh my God, and like remorse, and like we shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But not with Sharon Tate. I felt drawn to her house. Like
Yeah.
I needed to be there,
Not me.
So.
I felt like
and I don't know why. It's a little weird.
I felt interested, but I felt
I was-
like I wasn't supposed to be there.
I felt
More so
like
lately, I've been
I felt like I couldn't go for the reasons that we were going there. If we were going there to pay homage and like from a different perspective, I could have gone, but I couldn't go if I'm
Just
looking.
knowing, like, hey, I want to see this.
If I'm looking,
where like these people
yeah,
massacred.
yeah, I just
I
can't
can
do.
respect
I
that.
could.
There's no
I couldn't.
there being-
I
Yeah,
could respect
I
that,
couldn't
yeah.
do it in that aspect. I have to do it from a more respectful point of
Yeah.
view, and that wasn't the day. That wasn't
sure.
the day. So
We're gonna go give Sharon Tate flowers, I think.
yeah,
We're gonna go back to Cali.
We're gonna leave her some flowers.
light a candle.
We're gonna do it right
Yeah.
for Mrs. Tate.
Miss Tate.
Because anybody that glorifies what Charles Manson and the family did to them is You're a sick person. You're not.
Fuck you.
You're not caring about anybody. You think this is Hollywood, dude? Because this is real.
Real people.
This really happened. Real people died.
Real people.
It's not a joke. It's not just because she's an actress doesn't mean she was acting in that moment. She
Not
died.
saying that you can't be interested in what did happen, but the fact
remember-
that don't glorify Charles Manson.
We talk about things in our music, but we're not glorifying them. We're talking about them. We talk about a lot of things in our music that are dark subject, and I have songs of a lot of concepts that have to do with cult and things like that. But in no shape or form do I glorify what people really do, because what's sickening me the most is when I remember looking at my Facebook and like Twitter of people when Charles Manson died being like, rest in peace, Uncle Charlie, or like, oh, I'm so sad Charles Manson died. Like, who the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
What the? So basically, what the
They killed a baby.
It's
like,
not.
Let's just be real.
This is not a joke. Like, this man orchestrated the murder of 7 people that we know of.
Yeah.
It could have been up to 30, 35.
Saying that he had a bunch on the beach and shit like that.
Saying that there was way other people that they murdered. People that he murdered himself. So he may not have had anything to do with those particular murders that he got caught for, but he orchestrated it. And like, that's not funny. It's not something to glorify. This man is not. This isn't a fictional character. This isn't fucking Hollywood, dude. He's not a Terminator. This isn't. You know what I mean? This isn't fucking like.
Facts.
It's not Michael Myers, dude.
Facts.
People gotta stop looking at the news like it's just like nothing. Like
Charles Manson's
all the time. You guys are like you're taking all these images in and you're not registering them.
You think it's
look at the pictures.
You people like watch Scream movies. I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but for those people that are glorifying his death and like being sad about it, these are people that look at movies like Scream and they take it too far.
Yeah.
Like they think that like fucking.
You're like the Slender Man girls.
They think that these things that they hear about that happened in the 60s, that was so long ago, it's almost like a story to them. It's like a
folklore.
Like folklore. No, this really happened. This man was just alive.
A baby is dead.
2 years ago, he was alive. Think about that. A man that did all this, he was alive. I mean, like, we all get caught up in the Jeffrey Dahmers sometimes of this world, and the Ted Bundys. It's okay to be interested. It's okay to be like, damn.
That's what I'm saying. You can be interested.
There's a bit, but don't you?
I read into all of them.
But if I ever hear somebody saying, "Oh man, I'm so sad Ted Bundy died," you need to fucking slap yourself and reevaluate your fucking life, homie.
Yeah, we got some issues.
You got some
fucking people he killed.
It's like glorifying serial killers and mass murderers is like, I'm sorry, that's not cool, dude.
Get your head checked, bruh.
That's not cool. Like, that's like being like the Boston Bombers are fucking cool. Rest in peace.
Fuck them.
You're a fucking retard. I'm sorry. Excuse my language in that aspect, but fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you.
I don't give a fuck.
You need to hold it.
That's your opinion. Well, my opinion is fuck you.
That's
fuck
what he said.
you.
Now I co-sign. Fuck you.
Like, I can't get behind somebody that's like, rest in peace, Charles Manson. Like, you remind, like, oh, I'm gonna miss that dude, man.
Like, he actually contributed to something in your
They need to
life.
be doing that with Nipsey.
I deleted so many damn people that did that. Like, I remember seeing.
Yeah,
Well, I remember one of them was like this girl. One of them was like this girl on my Facebook who was like trying to rap, and I was just like, bye, homie. Like,
you whore.
See you later.
Trailer park trash.
Like, I don't know what kind of demented fucking fantasy land you come from, but the yellow brick road ain't real, sweetheart, so fucking get off it. This shit happened.
Yeah.
Would you want somebody to come into your house
Okay, y'all
while
got,
you're
y'all
pregnant?
Got freeze on 100 right now.
You want
bro.
someone to come into your house while you're pregnant? Because you think, man, like, oh, so like, if it was you though, say Charles Manson had his people come to your fucking mother's house while she's pregnant, while she's pregnant with your mother, with you, your mother's pregnant with you, and then this woman just stabs the fucking shit out of your mother and you while you're
It says I don't give a fuck
about your baby, and like you were never even born, your life wouldn't even fucking, you wouldn't even
face
exist.
it, like you're gonna die. Like that's some bullshit.
Everybody's out here thinking this like
Or if that happened to your sister,
real.
what if that happened to your sister? What if your sister was in her house?
Or your wife.
Yeah, and
your wife. Your girl.
Or yeah, your wife.
Your baby mom.
What if your fucking wife was like, you were out of town and you leave to go out of town, all of a sudden you come home and your wife and her friends are just murdered.
Massacred.
How the fuck would you feel? Is it cool then? Would it be fun then?
No,
You're gonna be like, hey, fucking Joe Parker Davis that murdered me, he's fucking cool?
Yeah.
You're gonna be happy with that sacrifice, like, oh, it was for a cause.
You're gonna be cool.
It was for a cause.
You're
like,
gonna be cool being another statistic in a fucking glorified psychopath's fucking story?
No.
You're gonna be a statistic in his fucking world because he killed you. Are you gonna feel cool then?
Freezes on 100.
Stop glorifying serial killers.
Then you're gonna be one of the motherfuckers we're seeing.
Stop glorifying this shit, man. When we talk about it, we talking about it from a point of view like,
turn off the television
fuck these
and read
people.
a fucking book.
Like, fuck these people. We're saying fuck these people when we
Fuck
fucking
you.
talk about it. We made a song called R. Kelly because fuck R. Kelly.
Find Jesus.
Find God, bro.
Go with Christ.
And if you don't find God, find something that's fucking morally right within yourself.
Do something spiritual.
For real.
And everybody,
Light a candle, bro.
You think like what, like witchcraft is something like to play with? Like no, and like in real shit is like there's witches are good things. Like that's why you were talking about earlier about
where-
burning
yeah,
witches.
where you take-
Like this is about the earth. This is about energy. Go find
It's
something.
where
Be
you
one.
take it.
Be happy.
Yeah, use it.
Do
Use it for
something.
good. If you want to do a spell, use
it for good.
Use it for good. Don't ask for just selfishness. Like, oh, I want to just be fucking famous, or I just want money. Ask for like health for your family.
Yeah.
Ask for freaking like peace in your life. Ask for like simple things, and maybe you'll actually find something that works.
Humble your motherfucking
Humble
self.
yourself. You know what?
Real.
And not everybody prays. I know it's not. I'm not even trying to get into that. But every time I ever have, it was never for myself because
Absolutely.
and that's like that's something that people don't think. Like, what do you think? Like, yeah,
Please,
you
God.
just get everything. It's like, you know what I mean.
Send me a Cadillac.
Once in a while, of course, we're gonna like
bring me quiet.
Yeah,
bring me peace. Ease my dreams. Nightmare cease.
Yeah.
Just think about it, people.
Yeah.
Before you go on your Twitters and your Facebooks, your Instagrams, glorifying people like when Son of Sam dies. When one of you's on there like, oh, rest in peace, Son of Sam. Fucking rest in peace to the 44 caliber killer. When I see that, just know like we all us normal people are gonna be looking at you like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Like, fuck you.
There's no way you could justify being weird enough to fucking glorify somebody who commits mass murder to people that did nothing wrong.
For sure.
If you want to murder a pedophile,
Hell
you want to murder
That's something I could get behind.
you want to save the president or something?
This president?
I don't know.
Don't get me started.
Just in general.
just something. Yeah, good deed.
You want to save a child from harm?
You want to roll with the holy vigilante?
Glorify that.
You know, I got you guys. You can roll.
How about do something good for somebody without shoving a camera in their face,
Right.
showing that you did it?
Stop filming people doing fucked up things and doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
World star.
Yeah, stop being that world star guy fucking watching a woman get kicked in the face
Stop
by a
being a
grown
fucking
man
tool, you
while
piece
you
of
just
shit.
watch.
Well, you just watch, yeah.
Because you're a piece of shit. You're
You're a pussy. You
I
can't
didn't
step
know- I
in and
didn't
go
know about
defend
world
that
stars were
woman.
fucking
you know-
knocking them out.
The universe doesn't bless you for things like that. And that's one thing I know is fact. The universe won't bless you for that.
No.
Totally off topic.
We're sounding preachy, but it's true. Like, you can't
Don't be a piece of shit.
if all you put out is negative and you act negative and you do nothing, you don't do nothing righteous, you don't stand up for nothing except yourself, then what do you expect back?
Nothing good.
You're gonna get nothing back.
Nothing good.
Nothing
What you
good
put
at
out, you
all.
get back.
What you give, you get.
So I enjoyed this segment of Word Vomit.
Me too.
The Connecticut edition.
Thank you to DNazareth.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Lorraine Warren.
You be
Rest
on
in
top
peace,
seat
Lorraine.
over here.
Rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
Robin.
Rest in peace to all the people that have died for religious nutcases that fucking just go murder people for no reason.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to all the victims of tragedies around the world.
You guys are looking for dope places.
And
for
rest in peace to
shit.
my very good friend Robin Simpson, who
Robin.
recently passed away
We love you, boo.
way too early.
Way
you,
too
baby.
early.
But yeah, this has been an interesting episode, and it's gonna get different every week.
Yeah.
So stick around. If you want to be featured or you want a song played on our podcast, hit us up, freezealegend.com. I mean, gmail.com. freezealegend@gmail.com.
That's right. So this a wrap?
That's a wrap.
That's a Reynolds.
See y'all next month.